Welcome back to the Top T Testosterone Fundamentals course. In this video, we're going to talk about prolactin, the hormone you didn't know you needed to know about. So let's dive right into it. Prolactin is a pituitary hormone, meaning it is produced in the pituitary gland. Most famous for being responsible for new mothers producing breast milk. But it's also very prevalent of a hormone for men to understand, and it plays lots of different roles in the body. In males, it tends to decrease testosterone levels as it is inhibitory to the production of endogenous testosterone, meaning testosterone that you produce yourself, by suppressing the release of LH and FSH in the anterior pituitary gland. In fact, the relationship between testosterone and prolactin is so negative that prolactin levels are usually an indirect way of measuring optimal testosterone levels and function, meaning higher prolactin levels almost always mean low testosterone levels. That being said, prolactin is a very important hormone for men to have in their body, so we don't need none of it. Very similar to estrogen, even though it can be demonized, we don't need none of it. It is a very good thing that we have it, and we do need it for very many important functions. So in men, prolactin has been shown to promote fatherly behavior, decrease stress markers, promote testosterone and sperm production, improve fertility and promote proper sexual function, contribute to myelin repair for the growth of white matter in the brain, simulate growth of the hippocampus in the brain, prevent brain damage from chronic stress, lower diabetes risk, increase insulin sensitivity, improve immune function, reduce cancer risk, regulate heart health, and regulate electrolyte levels. It's also known to be associated with the pleasure of listening to sad music. So although prolactin is clearly very important for lots of regulatory functions in the body, when prolactin levels go too consistently high, it can lead to a slew of negative effects to both physical and mental health. A side effect of steroid and TRT use is not only elevated estrogen levels, but also elevated prolactin levels. This is part of the negative feedback loop that we discussed in the Today's Testosterone Crisis section of this course. When GnRH production is lower, prolactin levels go higher. So for those looking to recover naturally from hormone use, exogenous hormone use, injected hormone use, you're going to want to educate yourself on prolactin. This is also something to consider for those that are significantly overweight, since you're aromatizing so much more testosterone, and this same negative feedback loop is taking place for you. Obesity is also associated with lower dopamine, which promotes higher prolactin. So now let's talk about some of the detriments of high prolactin. Chronically high prolactin levels have been shown to produce unwanted side effects, including leptin resistance. Leptin is the hormone that stops appetite when you're full. Lowered glucose tolerance, and increased food intake, all of which appear to promote weight gain. Not only that, but when prolactin is too high, it can cause a drop in gonadotropins and testosterone. It can promote sexual dysfunction, hypothyroidism, meaning the thyroid is not putting out enough thyroid hormone, gynecomastia, which is what you see with the guys having basically like breast tissue formation after they get off steroids, infertility, and depression from suppressing dopamine levels. So as you can see, we need to have our prolactin levels within a healthy range, because if our levels are too high or too low, we can run into some serious issues. The inverted U-curve always applies. That being said, most of you reading this are far more likely to have high prolactin than low. This is because there are lots of very common lifestyle factors that increase prolactin, some of which include exercise, sauna use, a lack of stress. If you actually don't have enough stress, your prolactin will go up. Sad events, sad songs, and sad movies, because your body doesn't know the difference between a sad song, a sad movie, or a actual sad event in real life. The sound of a crying infant or baby, being around children in general, masturbation, which is really just consistent masturbation. Like if you're not getting laid at all and you're only masturbating, that will increase your prolactin. Caloric restriction, aka not eating enough, and obesity. We're going to talk about those last two in a little more detail in a second. So now let's talk about lowering your prolactin. Since many typical lifestyle habits that increase prolactin are actually healthy, you shouldn't stop doing them just because you want to lower your prolactin. A better way to modulate prolactin levels is to modulate other hormone and neurotransmitter pathways that affect prolactin. And there are lots of them. The most reliable way to decrease your prolactin levels is to increase your dopamine levels. But there are a few other hormones that also affect prolactin. So the main prolactin reducers are dopamine, gonadotropin releasing hormone, which is the original precursor to testosterone, and GABA, which I discuss in detail in the Top T sleep course. Other hormones that increase prolactin are estrogen, thyroid stimulating hormone, thyrotropin releasing hormone. We're going to talk about those two in detail in the module about thyroid hormone and testosterone. So bear with me on those. We're going to get into those in more detail. Also, stimulation of opioid receptors. This is a very notable way that opioid use lowers testosterone. There's a lot of data to show that correlation. And just another reminder, all of the studies that I reference all of these points throughout this course in are all cited at the end in the citation section of the ebook. And then we also have serotonin and glutamate. So basically, the best way to optimize these other hormones hormones to lower prolactin is to eat a diet strategic to that goal. If you're overweight or obese, then losing weight will definitely be the best way for you to lower your prolactin levels first and foremost. Prolactin levels also increase when you get too lean though. So if you're insanely lean, like under 10% body fat, then gaining a little weight and getting a little more body fat will also help lower your prolactin. Since prolactin is involved in appetite stimulation, it will increase when you get too lean to encourage you to eat. And just like obesity, being too lean will lower GnRH production, which increases prolactin. Additionally, to maximize dopamine and minimize prolactin from your diet, you want to avoid seed oils and plant oils and gluten. You also want to eat enough fish with omega-3s and grass-fed meats. Again, here's another link for the Top T Nutrition course. We discuss how to eat to maximize dopamine and minimize prolactin in detail in this course. So for more specific information on this, definitely just click that link and check out the Top T Nutrition course. You also want to avoid xenoestrogens, which, like I've already said in previous modules in this course, you can check out the Top T Avoiding Endocrine Disruptors course to learn about xenoestrogens in full detail. There is also another link here at the bottom of this page. All right, let's keep talking about prolactin. So when you bust a nut having sex, you have a serious spike in prolactin, which makes dopamine and testosterone go down, which is actually a good thing if you use this properly and you do it at the right time of day. We talk about this in extreme detail in the Top T Sex course. But when you have sex and bust a nut, like from actual sex with a woman, you'll get a 4 times bigger prolactin spike than you will from masturbating by yourself. But this is only temporary during the post-ejaculation refractory period, and we cover this in more detail in the Top T Sex course. So again, guys, click this link up in this first paragraph to check that out. So this bigger prolactin spike from sex as opposed to masturbation is actually responsible for sex being a lot more satisfying and you feel a lot better about yourself and more accomplished after sex as opposed to masturbation. That's because the prolactin spike is high. It also makes it very easy to fall asleep. We're also going to discuss in a second the relationship between prolactin and sleep. But anyway, long-term, having sex doesn't increase your baseline prolactin levels. However, long-term, consistent masturbation does increase your baseline prolactin levels. Stressful activities actually lower prolactin since they increase dopamine. So things like training. Many of the prolactin increasing actions that I described previously in this video are genuinely good habits, like I said. But when you do these things, the way it works is it signals for your hypothalamus to release a protein called prolactin-releasing peptide, or PRRP, which signals the pituitary to release prolactin. Although these activities tend to stimulate prolactin release, they are not the primary stimuli for it, meaning that there is a primary stimuli for prolactin that doesn't involve any of these actions that I've described so far. When prolactin is released, also it's released in a pulsatile manner, meaning it's released in pulses and not consistently. And the vast majority of the release is during non-rapid eye movement sleep, or deep sleep, non-REM sleep. For someone with a normal circadian rhythm, prolactin's peak release is around 4 to 6 a.m. Now, the nocturnal release of prolactin appears to be stimulated by melatonin. Sleep onset, meaning when you fall asleep, is rapidly followed by an increase in prolactin, and waking is followed by a decrease in prolactin. Upon waking, you experience a sudden drop in prolactin as dopamine, cortisol, and noradrenaline go up to wake you up. If you guys want to know more about prolactin's prevalent role in the sleep cycle and the circadian rhythm, you can click this link right here to check out the Top T Sleep course, where we go into serious detail on this topic. If you guys are getting blood work, I highly recommend, if you want your prolactin to get tested, to go to Merrick Health, one of their packages. Make sure that it's the right one. It's not the basic. I think you need like the second most expensive, like the comprehensive one. That's the one that's going to include prolactin. And on that blood work, you want to make sure that your blood levels are below 18 nanograms per deciliter. Another common sign of high prolactin that I haven't mentioned is anorgasmia. Anorgasmia is delayed, infrequent, or absent orgasms, or significantly less intense orgasms after sexual arousal and adequate sexual stimulation. So basically, it's like you're actually clapping cheeks, but you're having a really hard time busting a nut. That's anorgasmia. Or even after you do bust a nut, like if it's really, you're struggling to bust a nut, but then you finally do and it's like not even really that good, it's not even that intense, or it's like really delayed, like it takes you a really long time to be able to do it, or like you're trying to do it, then that is anorgasmia, and that could be a symptom of high prolactin for you. So if that's the case, if you're getting any of those other negative effects that I mentioned previously in this video, or if you suspect that you have anorgasmia, then I would definitely go get your blood work tested for prolactin. That's it for this video, guys. In the next one, we're going to talk about dopamine, so you want to pay attention if you do suspect you have high prolactin. Learning how to optimize dopamine is a great way to learn how to optimize prolactin.